Hey everybody, welcome to the Fourth Dimension. My name's Remy.
And I'm Benedict.
And welcome today to probably my most anticipated video of the year. It is the Album of the Year Awards.
Woo!
Fourth Dimension hosting it. We've got some big boys in the building today.
The big boys.
We've got some honourable mentions because it's been a good year. Let's be honest,
it's been a good
year.
Yeah.
It's been tough to nail it down to 10. But yeah, we've got some honourable mentions in there because we do feel like they deserve some credit as well. The fourth dimension accreditation.
Yeah, accredited.
Yeah, a bit of like a badge of honour. Let's start off with the honourable mentions before we get into the top 10. So I'll start with mine first. So in no particular order, we got Koji Radical with Reason to Smile, one of the great hip hop albums in the UK this year. Incredible album. I've got Black Midi with Hellfire.
Ooh.
We got Nas with King's Disease 3.
Oh yeah.
I got FKA Twigs with Capri Songs.
Oh yeah.
Love that album. Really catchy. It's nice to see her in a new light. She's gone from depressing music to a bit more poppy and a bit more,
She's not so sad now.
Exactly. We've got Loyal Kana with Hugo. Really important record. Probably one of the best records coming out the UK alongside the Koji Radical. For me personally, someone who is mixed raced, I felt like it was a breath of fresh air really, in terms of the topics of conversation and perspective that he gave in a lot of his tracks. And then to end it off with, because we picked 6, we were meant to pick 5, but I just couldn't do it. I have to give credit for the Earth Gang. These guys are really killing it, man, and Ghetto Gods is an incredible album. I'm very excited to see whatever they come with next. Yeah, really solid. Loved it.
Okay, so my honourable mentions are FK Twigs with Capri Songs.
Yeah, nice.
Beach House with One Twice Melody. Koji Radical with Reason to Smile, one of the best hip hop albums to come out of the UK. The Weeknd with Dawn FM.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
You are a traitor. You were bumping in the Weeknd Dawn FM for so long. How can you do this?
The second half just doesn't match. It's the first half is so good. The second half is very good, but it's not quite.
Yeah, fine.
This one hurts as well, but it is a really fantastic record, and that's Dommy and JD Beck with Not Tight. One of the best jazz records of this year. I don't really want to do this one as well.
What is it?
Jockstrap with I Love You, Jennifer B.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. I'm killing him. I'm killing him up. I really love this record. This is definitely a fantastic album. Definitely, I think Jockstrap have a long way to go, and I think that on future records they're only just going to get better and better and better. And this is definitely one not to miss.
Definitely. Right, I'm gonna start.
Okay.
So my number 10, probably honestly the most controversial pick on my
we love
list. But
a little bit of spice.
I really do love this album.
Okay.
It's Brockhampton with The Family.
Oh.
I love this album a lot. I understand why a lot of people were a bit disappointed in it, as it is just a solo Kevin abstract album. But I think it was genuinely an album that was built for the fans. It addressed a lot of the elephants in the room. I think for the most part, this album's really beautifully produced. Got some incredible sample flips from Bareface. I mean, I'm a massive Kevin Abstract fanboy, so like this was always going to be probably in my top 10. But yeah, I really like this album. I come back to it very, very often. And we've got a reaction on it if you want to see that. Go watch that. It's really good. Yeah.
Really good content.
It is really good content. It's good. It's the best reaction.
We had some good stuff to say. So.
We did. Well, that's the thing. We come from a background. We really like Brockhampton. I'm a massive Brockhampton fan. Have been since, I was in my teens. You know what I mean? Like, to see it end off in this way is very tragic, but also very Brockhampton. That it ends with the person who started it all, ending it all. But yeah, that's my top 10. Sorry. That's it. That's the video, guys. See you later. No, that's my number 10. Sorry. We've still got some while to go. Sorry for
don't worry,
for jumping the gun. It's all right. We've got a while to go.
My number 10 is Kilo Kish with American Girl. This is a fantastic electropop album. It's got a real sort of nocturnal alternative dance vibe to it. I really like what Kilo's doing on this album because I do think it is different. There's a bit of drum and bass.
Oh, 100%.
There's alternative dance, R&B. There's a lot going on in this one, and I think even though Kilo doesn't have the greatest vocals, she makes up with it with very quirky, tongue-in-cheek vocals, and it's made it a very infectious listen. So yeah, this is an album that I've come back to a lot. It's an album that I find really fun, And I definitely think this is just the tip of the iceberg of what's to come with Kilo. So yeah, that's my number 10.
Cool. Right, so my number 9. Denzel Curry with Melt My Eyes, See Your Future in number 9. Yeah, I mean, Denzel Curry just killing it as usual, man. Like, he's just so consistent. This was a breath of fresh air, you know, hearing all these new sounds sort of experimented into one. The jazz influence, even like it goes from jazz influence to D&B influence. You know what I mean? Like it's a complete.
There's a lot going on.
The features are great. Obviously, Troubles, for example.
Troubles.
Troubles. Man,
Someone
it's
say
like a
Troubles
meme at this point. Yeah, Ben just starts like hyperventilating. And again, I mean, I'm probably going to talk about this a bit more as we go on, but it's another one of those albums which is highlighting mental health in the black community. I've addressed this in the Songs of the Year video if you want to check that out. But yeah, there was a lot of that this year, and I think Denzel Curry was the first one of the year that really opened my eyes to that. And again, it's just something we don't really see in hip hop a lot at all, and I really appreciate what he's doing for it. Yeah, incredible album. Really love that one.
Cool. My number 9 is Smino with Love for Rent.
Awesome.
This is a great record. It's such a catchy record. It's actually a record that I didn't anticipate being in my top 10, but it's just so infectious. And it actually does a lot with very little. And I don't mean that as a negative. I just think Smino just has a way almost similar to JID in the way that he can switch up his voice all the time with so many different inflections, so melodic. Yeah, I mean, on some points you forget that it's one artist. And there's so much going on here. The track with Doechii, Profik is fantastic.
Oh, incredible track.
Noel's is great.
Yeah.
So many just really infectious, catchy tracks on here. Absolutely love the Outkast influence on this one as well. The Andre influence. Just with the woozy sort of atmosphere and the production as well. Really love it. But yeah, that's my number 9.
Right, so I might get an ass kicking for this one.
Oh god, here we go.
But my number 8 is Kendrick Lamar with Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Yeah, so I love this album a lot, and I think it's one of those, like, for me personally, just being honest with you guys, I haven't come back to it that much. And the reason I haven't come back to it that much is because I find it quite a lot of an album to digest for the most part.
Yeah,
and I think,
I get you.
in my opinion, I think there is a little bit of filler. And yeah, I think that's sort of what taints the album for me from making it a bit higher on this list. But even still, the messages that are being portrayed through this album are so special. Again, highlighting black mental health, addressing the trans community, and all these kind of things within the black community is such a taboo. And for someone like Kendrick Lamar, who again is arguably one of the biggest rappers in the game, to be addressing something like trans people within the black community is doing so much and is so beneficial that I can imagine a lot of people who are just listening to it on a surface level don't even understand what he is doing. You've really just got to appreciate it, and genuinely, Kendrick Lamar is pushing boundaries yet again. He's always been great at demonstrating his socio-political views through his music, and it's done in such an incredible way, and it's also done in a very accessible way. This album only furthers that. Obviously, I'm not going to be sitting there bumping to Auntie Diaries because it's not that kind of song. But again, with the album, I think it's there for its message. And for me personally, the replayability isn't there that much, but I think that the message gets across even within the first listen. Absolutely love K-Dot, man. He has solidified himself again as the GOAT for me. And this album is incredible. So there's my number 8.
Well, you said you were going to get an ass kicking for that one. Well, if you haven't, I am getting one for this one. So my number 8 is Black Country New Road for Ants From Up There. I know everyone's switched off the video, but I think this album already is a indie classic, a beautiful chamber pop, an art rock album. As we said in our songs video, some of the most beautiful and gorgeous arrangements this year. The backing vocals, the strings, it is just beautiful. For me, it's only just low on my list because it just isn't rotation that much. Maybe that's just because of the vibe of the album. I mean, I don't think it's not like a super depressing album.
No.
I think it has hopeful moments in it, but it is an album that you have to sink into to fully get everything out of it, and that's maybe why it's low on my list, because I just haven't come back to it as much. But I would say it's one of the most gorgeous records of the year, and that's my number 8.
Definitely. Right, on to my number 7. I might get some controversy. At the end of the day, I don't care about controversy.
It's so hard to
list.
order. It's so hard to order these.
Exactly, but like people might get a bit funny that I've ranked this over something like Kendrick, but I like it a lot. It's Jockstrap with "I Love You, Jennifer B."
That's fair.
For different reasons, though, it's ranked high. I think this is a amazing showcase of the experimentation and skill set of to be honest with you, I can't actually remember the producer that does Jockstrap, but honestly you can tell his mind is all over the shop, and I think it translates very well to the music. Yes. Georgia, I mean, just marry me, please. Georgia is like genuinely so incredibly talented. To be a part of two of the most genre-defying groups of this decade already is insane. Obviously not getting a lot of credit, but I can imagine in the next few years we're going to be seeing a lot more of them and her. And yeah, man, I'm a big sucker for experimentation, and this album completely takes that and runs with it. Some more like soft and vulnerable moments, such as Glasgow. Incredible song.
Oh, that's such a beautiful song. That made me cry the first time I heard it.
Yeah,
wonderful song.
And it's done in such a jockstrap style. You know, it's so unorthodox, but you know that one in particular, is really you know, it hits home. It's, you know, it's great. It's very heart wrenching but beautiful at the same time. And then at the end, and then on the other side, you get tracks like 50/50 and Greatest Hits and things like that. Yeah, man. Like sometimes I want to cry, sometimes I want to get up and dance. Yeah, it's a great album. And again, as we said in the Song of the Year video, I think Jockstrap are only getting started. Jockstrap killing it. I think they've got a lot of potential in this space, considering where music is going in the next 10 years. So yeah, there's my number 7.
Man, you pitched that well. You're making me rethink my own list.
I'm a good pitcher, man. I'm a marketer at heart.
No, I love it. I mean, there's not really much to add to that. It's a great release, and I think actually you hit the nail on the head there. Like, they've already come out with their debut album, and they already have like a style to them that we can expect going forward. Beautiful record. That's your number 7, yeah?
Yes, my number 7.
Okay, my number 7. I'm not actually sure whether this is going to appear on your list, so this might be quite out there, but my number 7 is ROSALIA with Motomami.
Awesome.
I love this album. I think actually on first listen, when I heard this for the first time, this was one of the most like out there chaotic first listens I've had. This is such a playful, rebellious pop record, but with so many different influences, and I just appreciate from a pop standpoint that it's just not taking itself too seriously. I don't think I prefer it to her last record. I think that one was a bit more of a smoother sort of fusion of the genres, but I think that's what makes this one such a chaotic and interesting listen. And again, I mean, ROSALIA, now one of the biggest artists in the world. I think she's obviously in her prime, but she's just getting straight into it. For
sure, yeah. I mean, you get some incredible production there from people like Pharrell Williams and, you know, the Neptunes. Like, she was given some extremely weird-ass beats, you know, and she really ran with it, and it was, she really tore them up. So, yeah, I'm glad you said that, because, it didn't make my top 10, but it's definitely one to look out for. I really love that album, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So my number 6 has already been discussed, but it is Smino with Love for Rent.
Ooh, I love to see it. I'm glad that it was higher on your list.
Yes.
That makes me happy.
Yeah, I love Smino. He's honestly one of the most underrated people in the scene, and has been for many years now. And I'm glad that he's getting a bit more recognition with this one. I think it paints the minimalism aspect, and he runs with it and makes it his own. There's a lot of genre bending, a lot of different sort of styles here. I want to say I'm excited more for what he does in the future, but I'm always excited. This is just another highlight of, you know, how good he really is. And yeah, man, I can't wait to see where he goes again within the next one. He always brings it. It's Smino, Love for Rent. So yeah.
Okay, so we've already spoken about this one as well, but my number 6 is Denzel Curry with Melt My Eyes, See Your Future.
Nice.
Love this record. So many, you said it earlier actually, and I was going to say, but so many different influences going on in this album all at once. You've obviously got the boom bap styles at the beginning. You've got the neo soul influences on songs like Mental. You've got bits of trap in there with some of the later songs, and obviously you've got the drum and bass on with Slow Tie. So it's like a kind of mixing of like the old and the new. For him to come out with such a thoughtful album, talking about changing yourself for the better, tapping into your sort of inner self to get rid of your demons, melting your eyes to see a path ahead to better yourself, I think is such a interesting concept 100%. And like creative way of explaining that. And I think this is what we need, this is what we need in hip hop.
Yeah.
And it's, breaking taboos. Yeah. Brilliant album. Favorite one from Denzel. That's my number 6.
Awesome. Right. Top 5 time. Smoking on your top 5 tonight.
Smoking on your top.
And I'm smoking on your top 5 with my number 5. And we've got Alvvays with Blue Rev.
Ooh.
Now,
I'm happy to see it.
Yeah,
I'm really
honestly, like genuinely, I didn't really know of them until this album. Ben put me onto them, admittedly. It's just so catchy, but also just so like, I want to say it's some fresh air. But at the same time, it isn't a bit of fresh air. They're just doing it incredibly well.
Yeah, I think they're taking like the best aspects of indie pop, shoegaze, noise pop, but they're doing it in a way which feels fresh.
Yeah,
that's why it feels so good.
Exactly, it keeps you on your toes. There's a whole lot of different sort of feelings in this album, but it's just like banger after banger. Like honestly, I don't have a crazy amount to actually say about the album itself. It's just a case of just thoughts on the table, banger.
Thoughts on the table, banger.
Yeah, that's
a
literally
bit of sadness sprinkled in.
Yeah, no, there is. Yeah, man, it's really special. I really recommend it. Get them on your radar. Always Blue Rev.
Damn. My number 5, she's one of my favourite artists, Little Simz with No Thank You. Awesome. This was obviously a surprise drop that just dropped. And I think it's an interesting record because I do think it stands on its own. Because I do think that she is in a different headspace than where she was when she put out Simbi.
Yes.
But it also at the same time does feel like sonically sort of like an Untitled and Mastered type release.
Definitely,
where it's a little bit rawer, it's a little bit rough around the edges, but in a good way. I think that it kind of swaps out some of the more orchestral sort of sounds that we heard on Simbi for more gospel. Mm-hmm. So it's more laid back. It's perhaps a little bit less focused, but you trade that and you get very raw verses on here. Mm-hmm. You get some of her most introspective and thoughtful verses in a while, talking about dealing with fame, talking about intergenerational trauma, talking about mental health in the black community. Yeah. Even though she's having success and fame, she's clearly still having to wrestle with everyday issues. And I think her picking that all on the table here just makes it such a thoughtful and interesting listen. Anyway, I'll shut the fuck up now. That's my number 5.
Ben, shut the fuck up, because my number 4 is Little Simz, No Thank You.
Oh, yes! Yes.
So let me put my thoughts on the table with this album. To be fair,
let me have a piece of this. I'll shut up.
Let me have a piece of this. You hit the nail on the head, though, to be fair. I think it was a victory lap after Simbi. I think it would have been very, very difficult to follow up Simbi with another type of album like Simbi. If anything, it's like a compliment, this album, to Simbi. But also, it's a lot more raw. She's putting a lot more vulnerability on the table here. Again, it's that black experience in the UK, which I find to be the most important part of the album. You were saying about, her talking about the rent being late on tracks like Broken and stuff. To me, Little Simz still feels like your next door neighbour. Like, it doesn't feel like she's on that level of fame yet, even though she is getting to that point. I think she's still very real. I believe she's still an independent artist, which makes sense of why. Yeah. Like, for example, that's why she had to cancel her tour, right? Because of like money and resources. That's what I was going to
say. It isn't like, it's obviously, you can see that should still be in that
like,
position.
We're so used to seeing artists, particularly, to be honest, more in the US, where they have all these, cars, diamonds, like all this crazy, accumulation of wealth. But then there's artists like Little Simz who, in my opinion, it really is in it for the music. You can really tell that through not just the music itself, but through her as a person. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that she's very real. This album is very raw. Little Simz, if you're sleeping on that, then I don't know what you're doing. I really don't. You need to get onto that. And you need to see the greatness that you're missing out on. Because, No Thank You is a banger.
My number 4. I don't know how you're going to take this one. I don't know whether you're going to...
Okay.
But my number 4 is JID with The Forever Story.
Okay.
wait. What was that?
Nothing. Go on, continue.
I think if we're talking consistency, this is the hip hop album of the year.
Yes.
I think this is like, I mean, JID's put out some amazing projects thus far. I mean, DiCaprio 2 is fantastic. But this is a game-changing record. This is a fantastic record from JID. His technical ability on this album, again, we said it earlier on the songs video, effortless. Like, on Radar, the amount of switches he's going through on these tracks is unreal. And he does it in a way where you don't even process it as it's happening. His technical ability is just... like unmatched.
Yeah, unmatched really is.
I think, dare I say, he's the best thing on Dreamville right now. And he's just
easily.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some people find that controversial, but
yeah, because J. Cole's in the mix, but a controversial take.
But yeah, this album is just banger after banger after banger after banger. There is not a single dud on this album. It is just straight fire from front to back. There's going to be no surprise. Remy's going to flame me in a bit for not putting this as high as it should be. But I mean, the only thing that's putting it down for me is I guess it doesn't, for me personally, have those highlights that maybe other hip hop albums do. But I do think it is a fantastic record, and I would say this is going to go down as one of the best hip hop albums of the decade so far, for sure. So that's my number 4.
Awesome. Right, top 3 territory. Your top 3 albums of 2022 delivered by the fourth dimension. Okay, this is where it gets serious now, boys. Number 3, for my choice, has already been discussed, but it has to be said. Dawn FM by The Weeknd.
I mean, it was discussed in my honourable mentions.
Oh,
I wasn't in my top 10. Yeah,
which is crazy to me.
That's crazy.
Because you love this album more than me when it dropped, so we ain't even going to talk about that. But anyway, that's just me being sassy.
This ends friendships.
Yeah, damn you, The Weeknd. But no, Dawn FM. I'm personally not going to say a step up from After Hours, because I think After Hours was a really hard thing to step up. Your takes, what are you doing? What is this? I
just don't like misogyny, bro.
Oh, bro.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I love misogyny. No, yeah, no. Dawn FM, I think, in terms of After Hours, although it doesn't hit the highs that After Hours has for me, in terms of its consistency and the theme that it's going for, is really taking pop to another level, especially mainstream pop, because The Weeknd at this point is mainstream. He is the second most listened to artist in the world, behind Taylor Swift, beating people like Ed Sheeran, beating people who make their music and engineer it towards it being family friendly and, you know, just easy to listen to. And when you're taking, you know, very on-brand influences from people like Kavinsky and through the, you know, like electro pop or, you know, electro sort of dance electro, whatever genre, and bringing that to the mainstream and making it sound accessible and really good, I think only highlights how incredible The Weeknd has gotten to in terms of his artistry. It goes from literally like the incredible introduction, incredible track of Take My Breath, very thriller-esque, very Michael Jackson,
very
to then like a little city pop vibe, you know, and a little detour in that regard with the sample on what's it called again, Ben? Out of Time. Sorry, I forgot about that. We've got a reaction on it on the damn channel as well. But yeah, Out of Time, and you know, it's just so many different like sounds. They all come together really well. 100%.
I mean, obviously, as it's not in my top 10, I obviously hate this record. But no, I do love this record. For me, what just puts it down is the back half isn't as strong.
No, I can agree with that.
But what I will say is some of the best stuff on this album is incredible. And I also think the
highs are high.
Point Never production on this is incredible. Some of the synth work is incredibly detailed. Gasoline.
Yeah.
How Do You Make Me Love Me?
Yeah.
Also really love the way that The Weeknd's not just putting out 20-track projects, and he's actually thinking about those transitions
100%.
between How Do You Make You Love Me and Take My Breath, and obviously the Jim Carrey sections in it. As a Daft Punk fan, of course, I fucking love the influence on Take My Breath and Sacrifice. Yeah, I don't know why it's not on my top. There was a lot of great albums.
No, there was. Yeah, it was hard to nail it down for sure. But yeah, he's doing his thing, man. I can't wait to see whatever happens next. The Weeknd on FM is my number 3.
My number 3 is Alvvays with Blue Rev. We talked about it earlier, so I'll wrap it up quick. But this is a wonderful, colourful indie pop record. The last record was a bit more dream pop and a bit more jangle pop, so it was a little bit more peppy. This one borrows a bit more from shoegaze and a bit more from noise pop. The songwriting is really catchy, and I think you touched upon there being a bit of a drought in terms of like great indie releases over the last few years. I think this is what is the best of indie, taking those sounds, sounds that aren't new, but taking them and using them in a way which feels fresh. They've still got so much to do. They're one of the most exciting acts in indie pop right now. So my number 3 is Blue Rev.
Awesome. Right. Top 2. My number 2 is Black Country New Road, Ants From Up There. Obviously, that was a bit lower on Ben's. But yeah, Ants From Up There is... we saw obviously their first debut last year. Was, completely something we haven't really seen before. A sound that, has been tested before but wasn't really perfected. And I think they really did sort of hit the nail on the head with that. And this is only, if anything...
bigger and better and grander.
Exactly.
And just like a step up.
It's like, I don't know how else to describe it other than it's so grand. And like there's just so much like... There's no wiggle room. Like, it's just so, like, I don't know, ambitious, big. The orchestration is incredible. And, Isaac, the vocalist, which unfortunately, obviously, he left due to mental health reasons, which is really sad because I did think that although I can understand why his voice isn't for everybody, I think he highlighted the tragedy, I think, in a lot of the tracks. And I think he really complemented the sound incredibly well for kind of what it is. Which is like incel core type music, by the way. It's some serious incel core music, but like honestly, it's so beautiful. I think it is music in its rawest form at its absolute peak.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to describe it other than that. I really do just describe it as just music, just like great music. Incredible album. I really am excited to see where they go from here without Isaac. If you're in the scene and enjoy, like indie rock and, that kind of thing, this album's for you, man. And, I would recommend it 100%.
My number 2, you said it earlier, it's Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers.
Nice.
Again, I don't think this is Kendrick's strongest album, but... Again, as we were saying earlier, I think this is such a thoughtful and reflective, well put together record. And, you were touching upon it earlier, talking about the message kind of transcending the music. And I really do feel that way here. Obviously, you see it so much with artists like Kanye and things like that. And I think some of the stuff that Kendrick is saying on this album, like, the savior complex and not worshipping your artist, that message has never been stronger. And I also think some of the other themes that he highlights on here, like intergenerational trauma and mental health in the Black community, like on songs like Father Time, and even just sort of the idea of going to therapy. I think the way that that's tackled on this album, especially as a concept, I think is just done so well. And yeah, I do think it has like a few lesser tracks on it, but for me, the highs of this album are so beautiful. Not his best record, but I do think Kendrick has done it again and proven why he is the GOAT right now. I don't think there's anyone that is making stuff like he is. And I think when it comes to conscious hip hop, even though you are seeing, the Denzels and the JIDs doing their thing, I think Kendrick has a certain way that he does it, unlike anyone else.
Yeah.
And I think that's necessary. So yeah, that's my number 2.
Awesome.
Goddamn.
Right,
Here
we are at the final lap of the album of the year. Right. So, hang on, let me have a little stretch before I unveil. Although we already know what it's gonna be. Right, boys. So my album of the year of 2022 is the one, the only, the great JID with the Forever Story. I don't even really know where to start with this one, to be honest, but JID is, again, for me, in terms of like new wave rappers, maybe from like, I don't know, 2016 onwards, I think there's no competition here, really. JID is paving
Even
his
Denzel?
own lane. Yeah, he's
I mean, I
better
know
than
Denzel was
Denzel.
kind of doing his thing before.
I love Denzel so much. Don't get me wrong, but I think in terms of musically and like that translation to the music itself, I think JID wins easily. Because I think he conforms a bit more to a mainstream sound as opposed to someone like Denzel Curry. But at the same time, he can really ride any beat. He's so stylistically unique. And throughout this album, you really can see it kind of being paved into his, like, I don't want to call it a magnum opus because I really do think that there's more leg room to be done for JID here. I think there's a lot more that he can do. But if we get another album like this that's even a little bit better, it's a straight 10 out of 10. It's a straight 10 out of 10. I mean, this is already quite close for me. You get the more higher energy tracks. You get like Dance Now. You get like Radar.
Yeah.
Like, honestly,
so much versatility on this record.
It's just so hard. And
the features bring it as well. The features are fantastic.
Yeah, I was going to say the features on this album, I don't think there's any feature that sort of lacks, to be honest. And yeah, I don't know, just like the contrast of sort of the themes on this album. And JID's storytelling is just like actually unrivaled. Probably just below levels of Kendrick. I feel very reminiscent of Kendrick when I look at JID, to be honest with you. I think JID's really got it in him to be at that level. I really love the R&B cuts on this as well. I think it really sort of juxtaposes from the other high energy track.
He can sing so good.
He is an incredible.
I was
yeah,
amazed.
no, I'm
like,
glad
on
you
that
bring
Cody track. I think it's cool.
I'm Cody Blue. Yeah, I'm really surprised by.
He can sing better than a lot of R&B artists. Especially
yeah, he's got that in him naturally, and you can really tell that throughout the album. He is in his lane right now, and I mean, he's obviously blowing up from things like the League of Legends shit. That's like his biggest song now, and I think it's like, honestly, might even be. Let me have a look at the thing here. 984 million views on Spotify. To see where he came from, I saw him at shitty little Kentish town 02 only a few years ago before COVID, right? To see where he's at now, I love to see it. I love to see the progression there. Yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say. Just know that if you haven't listened to this album, you really should. It's my album of the year. It's easily the hip-hop album of the year. I think even Ben would agree.
No, I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Because the thing is, things like the Kendrick and stuff, they're kind of doing their own thing, and they have an important message to deliver. But in terms of
delivering just straight amazing hip hop,
and straight amazing hip hop, going back to the roots, and all these different sort of genre bending. JID's just in his own lane, man, and I love him. I love him.
The different things.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, there's my number one, JID: The Forever Story. Go listen to it if you haven't. Incredible album.
My number one is Wise Blood.
Wow, what?
And In the Darkness Hearts Aglow.
That's insane.
That's my favourite record of the year.
Wow, okay.
I've actually just come back to this so much. I mean, it's not on the level of Titanic Rising. I genuinely think that record is a 10, but I really love this record. It's beautiful, it's atmospheric, it's dreamy. Some of the soundscapes on here are gorgeous, from the interludes to God Turn Me Into a Flower. When it comes to this kind of music, you have those artists that have great vocals, but then you have those artists that have those vocals that really touch you. I think Natalie just has that vocal presence. It's always just super moving. And I know that the songwriting isn't the craziest thing, but I think that there's something really moving about the lyrics on this thing. I think some of the stuff that she's talking about, coming out of COVID and coming out of being isolated and not being able to see people, feeling like things that you had close to you have been taken away from you, or just trying to find your space in a time which has been very weird and difficult, both in terms of that, but also just social politically. I think is really relevant, and I think that the way she sort of intertwines those lyrics subtly into this record, to me, just really hits really deep. And I think there's something just really profoundly beautiful about this album, and it's an album that just for me on a catchy level has really resonated with me. Yeah, I mean, I was really surprised that this would end up being my number one.
Yeah,
but
honestly, me too.
I just kept coming back to it.
Fair. At the end of the day,
you know.
Yeah, honestly, it's very atmospheric, very beautiful. Yeah, it's a great album. It is a great album. I agree. It's probably not on the level as Titanic Rising for me either.
No.
But honestly, yeah, it's really, really, really solid. And if you haven't heard that one either, definitely recommend it. Very vulnerable, very soft. But also, yeah, it hits you and strikes you when you're least expecting it. So yeah.
Yes.
That is the albums of 2022. Yeah, honestly, so much good quality coming out this year.
Yeah, a lot of versatility. Now actually just sitting back and viewing it all, it's like there's a lot of different shit going on.
Yeah, honestly. And yeah, I mean, there was so much more than just those top 10.
Oh, yeah.
But honestly,
do you want a list?
Yeah, just go through my Spotify. It's been a good year, boys and gals.
It's been a good year.
And yeah, I'm excited to see where we go. As usual, music's moving in a pretty sturdy, progressive, direction.
Yes.
But yeah, no, thank you guys very much for watching. Let us know what your album of the years were, or album of the years were. What was your favorite picks of the year? We'll see you, I guess. I mean, there's not much dropping now, is there? I mean, there might not even be a new video now until the new year, unless we get a surprise drop or something.
Please don't do it, Frank.
Frank Ocean just drops on New Year's Day. Oh, brother. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.
See you next time, guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.